Here we are for the final time. I just want to say a few words by way of conclusion to the module as a whole. And the basic conclusion is, well, you've learned loads of stuff. If you think back to what you knew before you did this module and compare it with what you know now, I think as you're doing your final bits of work for the workbook assessment and so on, I think as you look back over what you've done during this module, you should really be very pleased with yourselves about how much you've learned and how much you've progressed within this area. So well done. You've learned loads of stuff. And if you don't already believe that, I hope you will believe it by the time you've kind of done your reflection, done your revision and completed the final assessment. Maybe one way just to remind yourselves of that is to look again at this paper by Barclay Camm. So I like using this paper partly because it was written in the year that I first arrived at Keele and started teaching Glaciers to undergraduates, but also it's an important paper, and Barclay Camm is an important figure in the history of the discipline. So you'll remember way back at the beginning of the module I threw the Camm 1987 paper at you and asked you what you thought of it. And at that stage, at the beginning of the module, it seemed like a really difficult paper. It is a complex, difficult paper anyway, but for us at that stage it was borderline impossible. We didn't know what a glacier surge mechanism was. We didn't know what the linked cavity configuration of the basal water conduit system was. We didn't even know what the basal water conduit system was. And as variegated glacier, never heard of it. And as you look through that text there, I'm confident that now it kind of should make some sense to you. You've heard of the variegated glacier, you know what a surge glacier is, you know what the basal water system is all about, you understand how basal water systems are associated with surging, you know how surging is related to other forms of glacier movement, etc, etc. You know a lot now about this whole topic area, and therefore individual examples that jump out at you, such as this paper or this abstract, they now make some sense to you. And the extent to which you now find yourself comfortable within the professional glaciological context or the research context of glaciology, that's a measure of how well you've done in working your way through this module. So the aims of the module, well, they were pretty straightforward. I wanted you to learn about glaciers and glacial geomorphology, obviously, because that's what the course was about. We all wanted you to get a good mark. I really wanted you to enjoy doing the course. I hope that that's been the case. And we really wanted you to increase your confidence in your abilities. And that's a really important thing. Not just your abilities in glaciology, although that kind of goes without saying, but just by getting to know so much about glaciers when you didn't know it and maybe found it challenging at the beginning, well, that should increase your confidence in your ability to learn about anything. So, well, whatever you're doing next semester, for example, if I threw a new topic at you and said, right, we're going to have to spend another 150 hours now studying brain surgery or ant physiology or whatever it might be, well, you should feel confident now that, well, you know about dealing with subjects that you've never encountered much before, you know how to learn about stuff. In doing all that, obviously the aim overall was that you'd enjoy the thing and that you'd do well in this module. So I hope that that's been the case. So by way of conclusion to the module, those were the aims. In conclusion, well, I hope that that all worked out for you. I hope that you've learnt a lot. I hope that you get a good mark. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope that you've increased your confidence in your abilities. I know that you should have done. From my end, watching the resources that you've been using and watching you working on those resources, as you know, I've marked a lot of your essays and I've spoken to a lot of you, I've seen a lot of you in the sessions about this. I'm confident that certainly if you followed the resources carefully, you will have done really well in this module and you will have learnt a lot. So we should all be really happy with the progress that you've made. A second set of aims, if you like, of this module were that you should become expert in the subject area. So becoming expert meaning, A, obviously get lots of knowledge, you get your facts and figures, you know stuff, but B, more than that, you understand what those facts and figures, what that information, you understand what it means, why it's important, and you can interpret it. You can say, well, the reason that this understanding and this knowledge is important is because it matters for this reason, that reason, or the other reason. And you can start applying that knowledge, for example, in addressing problems, or certainly in answering questions about this topic. And more than all of that, as well as just knowing stuff and understanding it and being able to apply it, you have opinions about it. You've learned enough about glaciers that you can now comment on other people's research on topics within glaciology. You can tell us what you think about these issues. You can make decisions about what's important, what's less important, what will be a good way forward, what will be a less sensible way forward. And you've achieved that, you've achieved this becoming expert by reading, thinking, attending the online lectures, writing stuff, and you're doing all your notes and your exercises and your essay, of course. So that was the kind of more detailed, if you like, more detailed aim of the module. And by way of a conclusion to do with that, well, the assessments, most of you have done the essay already, and you've got the workbook assessment to complete now. Well, your success with that, and not only your success, but your attitude in completing those, is really one measure of your success in this module, how you've approached the module, whether you've handled this whole idea of tying together a lot of different complicated separate ideas into a big unified system. That will be a measure of your success that the assessments will be judging. As you head towards the assessments, of course, all the details of what you were meant to be achieving, what the content was, how those assessments work, that's all on the VLE, so you get onto the Kiel learning environment and make sure that you know what all those details are as you move towards the completion of the course. All the essential information is in the module resources and in the basic textbooks, and you can go further beyond that essential information by following the leads into the literature that we have provided for you. So everything is kind of laid on for you to take advantage of. All you have to do is follow the instructions, follow the advice, take advantage of the opportunities that are there for you, and I'm completely confident that all of you can do really well in this module. So, is that really the end of the module? Well, kind of. Not quite, not exactly. We've got one, we've got two more things still to go. First of all, if you're watching this at the point when it was originally intended for you to be watching it in week 12, step 12 of the run of the module, well then we have a live session still to go, a Microsoft Teams session still to go at the end of the week, and I'll be available also over the Christmas break through the discussion board, email, etc. I'm here if you need help over the course of completing your final assessment. Also, well, you're always part of the Kiel Glaciers module family. It's a bit like being in the mafia. Once you're in, it's very hard to get out. You will always have done this module, and so the rest of the Kiel geography, the Kiel Glaciers module family is here to support you moving forwards as well. Some of you, who knows, some of you will be doing master's degrees, PhDs. Former students from this module are now professors of geography and various other subjects at a number of other universities, so that who knows where you will be in years to come, still connected to your roots here doing geography as part of this module. I hope you'll keep in touch. Next semester I'll be seeing a lot of you, I hope, in the Inspirational Landscapes module. I know it's not Glaciers, but it's still a good module. I hope that I'll be seeing some of you there. And whether you do, or even if you don't, then I hope you'll keep in touch anyway through Twitter, Facebook, etc.